All right, we are recording. It is, what is today? 20th of August. And we're doing this about 9 a.m. We have Bean with the Beams and Leon Ashley with us. I've got chat open here, or I had it open. Yeah, there we go. Oh, yeah, Leon. Yeah, I am speaking. Can you hear now? Okay, we're good to go. All right, just a couple of things here at the very beginning. Just wanted to talk about, what Bitcoin's doing, and then wanted to show you one thing on Nansen that's kind of, it's not a well-known thing that I've talked about, how to spot some of these that could have a real strong momentum play. I'm going to show you kind of a trick that I haven't really talked about any on X before, so that y'all could be looking for it if you use Nansen. Maybe you don't. But what we're looking at here on the CME futures, which for those that don't know, futures are just a way for people to perp trade Bitcoin. So you might see, big gaps like this. We've talked about it before, where sometimes it comes down, these CME gaps that have to be filled. I don't think that's going to happen right now. It'll probably happen at a later time. But I do think that it's still possible that this upper trend line can be hit. And we're looking at 99 to 100K worst case scenario. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I mean, this could have been the bottom right here at 109, because there is a lot of support here as well, going back to this peak right here on this wick. So I could see this holding for sure, especially since we've already closed this gap here. But one thing to note about how the market makers and the algorithms try to keep everybody guessing is, a lot of times you got to get these head and shoulder looking things, and then it looks like a head and shoulders, and everybody's going to expect it to do this, but then it starts going back up again. So just be aware that these patterns do tend to play out a lot. And I'm actually curious if the 3 hours showing any kind of, there is a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder pattern here. So just see if I see any bullish divergences or anything. So a bullish divergence, if we see price coming down real hard, but RSI is starting to move up at the same time, showing momentum, then it could indicate that price is ready to go up again. But what I'm seeing here, this kind of looks like a bear flag. Generally whenever you see something like this where it's a rising wedge type move, something like that, typically it does break down. But even if it was to break down again, there's definitely some support levels in here that could still hold. I'd say around 106, 107K. So I'm not worried about it. This is just, we're in the new moon phase, right? This happens sometimes around the new moon phase. So I think things will pick up again as soon as we get out of that. So it's the 28th now. I think the full moon is the 7th of next month, maybe something like that. So somewhere within that time frame, we'll start to get more upside momentum. I think that's all I wanted to show you on Bitcoin. I mean, somebody did ask a question about Bitcoin dominance last night, so I should probably just touch on that real quick. The RSI is bearish. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. You came up here and hit the 50 on Bitcoin dominance, which is good for us. We want it to reject. So the 50 line is the make or break line. If you're above it, it's bullish. If you're below, it's bearish. So as long as Bitcoin dominance is below the 50 line here on the daily, I mean, it's bearish, and that's good for alts. It's good for, crypto in general. So we may see it, creep back up to the 50 line or something, or, just come up to the 40 or something and come back down. But it's been a while since this thing has been bearish like this. Even back here, this is a pretty good example where it did come down and it hit 30 RSI and got under it. But then it immediately pushed back up and went back up to 70 RSI, and it got bullish again. Well, this looks like a completely different structure, doesn't it? Like now we're staying below it for an extended period of time, whereas before, it was actually just a quick down and up. So I think this is very promising for us, that now all the momentum has come out of Bitcoin dominance, and it could stay down here for a while. And that's what we want to see. And the thing on Nansen that I wanted to show you, I think this is really interesting. Hang on, let me bring up, I want to make sure there aren't any questions. Hey, Don, welcome. Yeah, I'll look at SCI and SUI here in a minute. Yeah, I'll put the score in as well. Okay. So here's what's interesting about this TIBBIR chart, and I know we've got some people in the group that that really like this one. It's a base play, by the way. TIBBIR seems to have a lot of momentum as being one of the the better base plays right now. But what I was noticing from another post that somebody made on X is that way back here in January, and the reason why I want to mention this to you is it's something that you, going forward, if you want to use Nansen, you can watch for this, because if you see this, then it's a really strong indication that this token is going to have a big move at some point in the future. I mean, this was January. This token really didn't make much of a move until May, so you would have had to wait for a while, but you would have gotten the lows. So at the time, we saw that. I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully you can. Actually, I can use my zoom feature. Yeah. Hang on, I gotta be able to see it. Okay, see that right? Well, this is only for the people watching the recording. They can see this zoom. But right here, it says that 5.84% supply is owned by smart money wallets. But all of a sudden, within 10 or so days, it jumped up 100% up to 10.49. So that tells you that there was a lot of conviction by somebody at that point. And it just showed that when somebody purchases that much, it's going to get other eyes on it. And you saw that the accumulation was kind of flat during that time after that happened, but it didn't really matter. I mean, at that point, so many eyes were starting to come into it. I mean, you're only looking at smart money here, by the way. Like if we looked at the same time period back on, say, top 100 addresses or something like that, then we may see something where accumulation was continuing, even though it was flat on smart money after that big accumulation that happened. So if we go back 1 year, yeah, look at this. This is a perfect example. So your top 100 wallets at that same time were slowly accumulating. So this yellow line right here, that's token balance, meaning that as this goes up, more people are extracting tokens from the exchange. So they're pulling them onto their wallet. And so as this happened, and this is one reason why I like top 100 addresses, is because it's a very good indicator of continued pressure, buying pressure on a token. So I kind of compare, I'll combine this with smart money sometimes, or the whale card up here. So right now we're looking at top 100, and we just looked at smart money. And right here, you'll see that token balance was coming off of the exchange at this time. And then at some point, right around here in May, it reached an inflection point where enough of the supply had come off and there was like a supply shock. More and more people were buying, and price really started increasing much more quickly. So even now, we're seeing that for TIBBIR, it's still climbing up. People are still accumulating, even though we've got price coming down. One thing I've learned, by the way, it's not going to work every time. But if you're looking at the top 100 holders and the price is going up on the token that you're watching, and then all of a sudden you see, price cross above the yellow line and then come back down, sometimes that's a top indicator. And what you'd want to be watching there is to see if, some of the wallets you track down here, at the bottom, you can look at some of these wallets that hold things. Some of the wallets that you track that you trust are starting to sell their tokens. So you can definitely use Nansen to, to find places to sell as well. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense to you and is helpful. Something you can do in the future. Let's see here. So let me just go through. We're going to get into your alts here, but I just want to make sure y'all are aware that on my Twitter, I've been posting a lot of plays that I think have promise. Like just last night, PLSX. This is Pulse Chain. Richard Hart is a part of this. I know a lot of people don't like him, say he's a scammer. But to be honest with you, what project isn't a scam? I mean, there's very few. So, just make your money and move on. That's kind of all I was saying in this chart, or in this post here. I like that it looks like MUBI. I don't know if y'all can see that very well, but I'm zooming in here on the recording. And then I did a thread here that covers SNX, NEAR, Arkham, GRT, and Uni. And I think Tatiana is going to post the next, what did we call that thing? Alpha Grid. I think she'll probably be posting that next one tonight. And what you'll see is that the altcoin vector team, you know, the Swiss block team, they also tagged SNX Synthetics as, you know, a token that could have momentum soon. So, you know, check out this thread and, you know, see if there's something that you can glean from it there. All right, so let's get into your tokens. Let me pull that. Actually, before we get into yours, Don, let me bring up Epi's here. So Epi wants me to look at TRWA. So this one's been moving up for a while, looks like. What I'm going to try to do is, this is going to take us a little bit longer, but I'm going to try to quickly go through Nansen on each one of these, hopefully. And then that way, y'all can see what the holders are doing. I'm just going to look at smart money, though. Well, you know what? I think let's look at just top 100. So top 100 on TRWA is flat over the last 30 days. Probably the same on 7 days. What you want to see is that increase. I mean, it's increasing just a little bit, so there might be some more accumulation, but seems like some people are taking profits here. So if we go back to the chart, and the reason this shows up as gray, by the way, on Engineering Robo is because it's too new. So sometimes you got to step down to like a 12-hour chart or something. So here's what I would say about TRWA is it's hitting levels off of this pump right here that would indicate are levels that it could bounce from. I mean, it could even come down to 008, but I suspect this is probably going to hold right in here at whatever this is, 1 cent. But it needs some consolidation, it looks like. One thing to remember is if your token pumps pretty hard, what is this pump? It's not a huge pump, it's like 3x or something, but it's been moving up for a while. So, you know, as it moves up and gets more parabolic, these little stair step things, you know, of course they happen. And probably the next pump that this thing has is going to get even more parabolic as long as it, you know, holds this level. But, you know, they need this, they'll start producing lower highs and then eventually they'll tighten up and they'll break out. You'll see it right here. So here was a high, lower high. It comes down, it establishes a base, and then it starts to create higher lows again. So that's really what you want to see is, and this is for any of your tokens, by the way, is as these lower highs develop, you need to see some kind of breakout from that trend line, you know, that's starting to develop there. And then once you see a higher low, that indicates to you that, hey, you know, this thing could be getting momentum again. And you could use things like RSI or, yeah, RSI was kind of coming up here, but it really broke above right there. Yeah, that's when it really started getting momentum. So this is kind of like your alert signal, hey, you know, this thing could be getting ready to move soon. And then once the RSI broke above that 14 EMA line right there, that blue line, then that tells you that it's ready to start moving again. Because that's basically just like a volume indicator. Okay, so that's TRWA, and then he also wanted me to look at SMT, which I hope I'm pulling up the right ones for him. This might be Swarm Market. I think this is the one that we found on Moni that did 100x that none of us entered. We actually found it before it did 100x. Or that was Swarm. It may be the same one, Swarm Markets, yeah. Okay, so yeah, here's a really good example. I don't know that any of these are gonna, you know, have another huge pump like this like they did before. Probably not. You know, it may come back up to these peaks that it had before, but you know, there's a chance these don't ever break their all-time high again. You know, we don't know. We can't predict the future like that. But here you are with your, you know, you got all these lower highs we just talked about. So, you know, this isn't going to be a perfect line, but you know, you're developing lower highs. There's no higher highs during this whole downtrend, and then it just keeps going sideways for a bit. Of course, it sweeps the lows down here, which is everybody's favorite terminology. But yeah, now you're getting a break above this support structure here that was developed, and now probably what's going to happen is something like this, just like we were looking at with that TRWA one, where it comes down and it establishes a higher low now, and this gives it the opportunity, if it can hold this level, to, you know, start developing more higher highs. So that's what you want to see, is that stair step structure after a support level, after a long downtrend like this. That's going to tell you that it's ready to go. I'm trying to remember. Well, we'll get into something else that looks like this here in a minute. But if we looked at SMT really quick on Nansen, there it is, swarm markets. I just want to see what the holders are doing, because that's going to give us the best indication. I mean, what else matters more than are people buying it? You know, that's really all that matters. And that's what I like about Nansen, is we can see that in a nice package here that's very easy to understand. That's one of the reasons I really like Nansen. So this, yeah, I mean, tokens have actually been coming back onto the exchange. You know, people selling, not by a whole lot, but let's see what the last 7 days looks like. Yeah, it's pretty much flat. So I don't think there's enough information here to tell us. In fact, there's not many smart money in it at all right now. But, you know, just because your token doesn't have smart money doesn't mean anything. In the future, it may have a lot of smart money, and that's when price would really start moving. But at the same time, top 100 addresses can push price just by themselves. You don't need smart money or whales. So I just wanted to let you know that if your token's not moving yet. All right, let me get back in here to chat and see. Hey, Gwizzy, welcome. Gwizly. We just covered TIBBIR just a minute ago, so it'll be in the recording. I mean, I didn't really go into it completely, but I showed something else on it. So if you still want to look at it, just let me know. All right, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna get into this one for Don, and we're gonna talk about beans here. Grizzly said TRWA is one money lord. KOL is big on Twitter. Oh, okay, yeah, money lord. I saw. I think it was you that mentioned that guy to me. And then Leon said, "Can you show the Nansen list of the top 50 or so projects that SM are buying?" Yeah, let's go into Leon's really quick, and then I'll get into more alts. I just kind of want to break up, you know, the momentum of this, and I'll show you something different real quick, and then we'll get into more alts. So here are, I mean, it depends on how you want to look at this, but for the reports that we're doing for you now, the alpha grid that Tatiana's hopefully going to get to you later today, this is the way we determine, you know, which ones we want to show to you. So right now I've got all caps chosen. Nansen only allows me to choose 5 chains, but really this is all we need. I mean, I can interchange something like Arbitrum and Tron or something like that, but most of these other, you know, like Avalanche Blast, they just don't have as much activity as things like BNB, Base, Solana, Ethereum. So this is typically how I do it. I sort it by net flows, and you can see these are the 3 that we're going to show you later today that are, you know, kind of like the best right now. But one thing to note on this is that when these are at the top of the list like this, generally it means they've already had a pretty good move, and I'm going to show you what I mean. But on the flip side of that, you know, these are high caps. I think all of them are. Let's see, that's 17 billion. That's 4 billion. Yeah. So all of these are over 1 billion, indicating they're a high cap. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is they could have more movement, but, you know, generally when you're at the top of the list here, you've already made a pretty good move. But let me show you here what it looks like just looking at top 100 holders on ENA. So it's the #1 token over the last 7 days for net flows, and net flows means that you've got inflows, you've got outflows, but your inflows are more than the outflows. So inflows meaning that smart money wallets have purchased 3.2 million. That means that tokens were flowing out of the exchange and into their wallets, versus the outflows are only 200K. So, you know, they've only been selling 200K worth over the last 7 days. And that means that our net flows is almost $3 million. So that's really good. I mean, net flows is really the most positive thing that you can take away from, you know, a token. You want to see people buying it, not selling it. And over that 7-day period, ENA has had 3 new smart money holders. So this isn't the total smart money that ENA has. It's just how many they've gained over the last 7 days. So we can look here on the top 100 and just see what the overall trajectory looks like. It's pretty flat. Let's just see what smart money looks like here. Yeah, it's kind of flat as well, but you're seeing a little spike here. It's not a huge spike. I mean, in terms of supply owned, it's only like 0.02% more than it was down here. So what was the change here? Yeah, it's about the same change back here. But notice, you know, when smart money starts buying, price starts you know, increasing. Sometimes they buy and price doesn't increase, you know, it increases later. But, you know, sometimes you do see that immediate spike when smart money starts buying. So she'll have that report for you. But to answer Leon's question, this is the way that I used to find tokens that were ready to pump. Is I would, you know, Nansen looked much different 2 years ago, but what I would watch for is any token that was around maybe 50K net flows, I was interested in, because it hasn't really moved much versus these up here that have a ton of money in them. And so these would be the ones that are, you know, possibly more ready to make a move. So, you know, something like Banker Coin on base, I looked at it last night, and, you know, it has some promise, but I haven't posted anything about it yet. WOJAK is one that I've noticed lately. What else here? And this is about the top 50. You know, we're down here in the, you know, the 26K territory for net flows now. GME, I think, would be an interesting one, just because it seems like when the alts are really pumping, or maybe right before they pump, GME tends to get bullish. So, you know, we can look at that one real quick. But, you know, I'm not going to go into great detail about this. I just want to show you a couple of things that I noticed, and then we're going to get into your other alts. So Banker Coin looks to me like it's doing a bull flag. I mean, you're getting your lower highs, you're just waiting, right? I mean, you're waiting for that next higher low to be developed. And, you know, there's some support down here, so it's probably going to come down a little bit more, although, you know, it could hold right here. It's possible, you know, if you were to put a fib on it, just this structure that pumped hard. Remember, if a token does some kind of parabolic move, it's usually not going to last very long. You know, it's going to need to rest at some point. So you're back here at the 786. That's a good area for it to hold. Sometimes they come all the way back down where they started, and then, you know, start their move back up. So I think it is into support territory here. And then if we just look at accumulation here for Banker Coin, if it'll load, there it goes. Okay. Yeah. Steady accumulation on top 100 addresses, not a whole lot yet. You're not seeing a spike. Smart money's flat. So, you know, it's not time to buy this one yet, basically. You know, taking all this information into account, you know, looking at it all together. Here's WOJAK. The reason why I like WOJAK right now is that it's at a support level. You know, it's kind of tightening up here. It's getting real tight here at the point. If you think of it like a triangle like this, you just want this support to hold right there. That's the main thing. So these triangle structures at a support level are really powerful. You know, here's your lower highs all the way down. Support was established, and now you've got a higher low right there. So this tells you that this one's ready to go. I don't know when it'll go, but it's ready. There's only one smart money that was purchased over the last 7 days, but that's fine. This is a high conviction play for them. 47K was purchased. And if we look at the holders here, yeah, I mean, it's gone up a bit, and it's a little bit flat right now, but this tends to happen when price goes up. You know, they're still accumulating, and then they see price go up, and then they say, well, you know, maybe somebody wants to take profit, or maybe somebody wants to slow down on buying until, you know, it comes back down to another support. They're just trying to get a better price. But here you got smart money. I mean, same thing, right? As soon as smart money started accumulating, bam, there goes the price. Looks like they're holding most of what they bought. You know, there's no change here. So this tells you that the conviction that smart money wallet had, which is right here, looks like they want to hold it, right? So, you know, WOJAK may be one you want to look into. And then GME, same thing. I mean, I'm not going to go too much into it, but you see that this thing has developed a really strong support level since March. And if we look at the holders, yeah, steady accumulation. That's a good sign over the last 30 days. Actually, I want to look at last 7 days. So kind of flat here. Somebody, you know, some smart money has been selling. But if we look at 7 day, let's just see what, yeah, so this actually looks much better, right? Since 22nd of August, steady accumulation. And then top 100 addressers, steady accumulation pretty much on this one as well. It's dipping a little bit, but, you know, it still looks pretty good. You can click on other things like public figure whale. I just don't want to get into too many of them. All right, let's look at, what was it, SCI? First, we'll look at SCI. I hope that answers your question, by the way, Leon. That's exactly how I do it. I mean, you can make so much money doing that. just on spot even. I mean, I'm not talking about anything like leverage. You know, this is the time to be buying spot. So here we got SEI. It's pretty close to a support level. I do like that the volume has increased a lot here, and you're developing higher lows here. So when I talk about higher lows, higher highs, you know, here was your, if we put some lines here, that was your resistance at one point, and your support was somewhere down there. So you came down, you rejected again, you held here, and then now you're building, and probably a little bit lower there. Now you're building a higher high from this high, and you built a higher low from this low, and then you did another higher high, higher low. So it looks like a bull flag right now. This structure right here could come back down to 26 cents maybe, but I think this could hold as well. This looks like a pretty good play to me. I'm not seeing, let's see what happened the last 7 days on this one. Yeah, no smart money is purchased over the last 7 days, but that's fine. They don't have to. What is going on with this? This is strange. Why is the holder thing not? Oh, okay. It says something about they're working on these widgets soon for SEI. So I guess they're still adding the SEI chain to Nansen. I can't pull up the holders, I don't think. It's just a different looking page. This is their old page. Well, anyway, I can't look at the graphic part of it, so we'll just look at the chart here. And this is one of the ones we're following in what you call it, the long-term plays, right? So this is one of the ones that we feel pretty strongly about as being one of the winners this cycle. Now, I'm not saying that this thing is going to go, you know, 20x or something. I don't know what it's going to do, but I do feel like a lot of these high caps can do, you know, 5 to 10x. Yeah, so we're bullish above currently. Daily, we've got a red 4 social intelligence score, meaning not a whole lot of people are talking about it, but I mean, that's just the way it works, right? When Bitcoin is not really doing much, when ETH's not really doing much, chatter on socials is just much lower. So that's basically what this is saying is, you know, people are just not talking about this token as much right now, but they will. So the red thing just indicates maybe it's not the right time to buy just yet. But I mean, this thing could, you know, start creating higher highs at any time as well. So you're just looking for the most logical support level to be buying and hope that you're right. And right now, that's what this bullish line is right here. So you're pretty close to it. There is a buy signal. Candlesticks are turning gray, which means it could turn you know, into a sell signal, but I kind of doubt it. We just need ETH to start moving back up again, right? And then SUI, we'll look at the chart first, and then we'll switch over to Nansen. And y'all let me know. I mean, if y'all don't want to look at the Nansen side of it and you want me to go faster through the tokens, I don't mind doing that. I just thought maybe you wanted to look at a different angle at it. SUI's had a much bigger move, I believe. Let's just see here. And so that did a 9x move. What did SEI? Yeah, so SUI has made a bigger move more recently or not? Let's see, December. No, it's just holding its structure more tightly, looks like. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my bearings here between these two. Yeah, so SEI had a huge move, but then it lost all those gains and actually went under the support, versus SUI did a big move and it held the gains. So it didn't come all the way back down here to sweep these lows. It held 50% of those gains. So what I would do in this case, I mean, again, the social intelligence score on this one is red and it's a 5. That's the strongest you can get. What I would say on this one is you want to see this trend line hold. It did create a higher high right there. So it's very important that this holds, because you want to see it create another higher high here at minimum before it can move higher. But the structure looks great. I mean, you've got, you know, support here, kind of a, well, it's not, I guess this was more the cup and handle right here, but you know, it's got this bowl. It's kind of like an Adam and Eve pattern on a macro scale, but you know, it pumped, came down, touched that support again, pumped really hard. And remember, whenever we get a pump that's hard like this, it's gonna need some consolidation time. So in some tokens, it may turn out to be that it comes all the way back down and then just kind of does this and breaks out, or you know, sometimes you'll get these like this one right here where it's just consolidating sideways instead. So that's kind of what's happening right now. And I mean, if we were to take some fibs here and just look at some support levels, the very important areas is 264, 225, and 202. So it could break below, but I mean, you'd prefer to see it hold at least 260-ish right in there. It did touch the 786, so that's a good sign. But I can't say one way or the other. Well, here's what I would say. Just wait for a buy signal. You know, that would be the safest play. Or, like we were talking about before, wait for your 2-day RSI. You know, currently it is bearish because the purple RSI line is below the 14 EMA blue line. And it is bullish on the 2-day, but it's not bullish on the daily. So once this breaks back above that blue line there, then you'll probably get your buy signal. So that's what I would say on that one. Okay. ABT. Yeah. Bean said, I'm going to pretend you said ABT. That was earlier. Oh, sorry. I didn't look at... I'll get into ABT here in just 1 second. SUI, is it on? Yeah, Wrap Sui. There it is. Chop Sui. Wait, is Sui? Sui's not base, is it? Maybe this isn't the right Sui. Okay, I don't think Sui's on here. It must be an L1 or something. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into, what was the one we were doing? ABT. I do have a chart for those. That one really. Okay. Yeah, ABT is doing exactly what we had talked about it doing previously. You know, we got a huge pump. We knew that it needed consolidation as it was doing this. And that's exactly what's still playing out. I've already got the fib lines on there. So it didn't quite touch the 786 here with this wick, or the 0.5. Do I have this backwards? Hang on. Might have my fibs backwards if I hit the reverse button. Yeah, okay. So it almost touched the golden pocket. It did cross through the 0.5, which is kind of like a minimum expectation when you get a big move like this. What did this do? Oh yeah, wow. Did a 58x. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you on this one, man. I mean, my gut, just from, you know, things that I've seen in the past, is that this thing needs consolidation. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to look at it. I want it to move as soon as possible for you. But if we take away these fibs, here's the minimum I would say. I wouldn't play this thing or add money to it until it broke above this trend line. Because just like we were talking about a minute ago, you know, this happens when you have a huge pump and you start getting lower highs. You know, it can downtrend for a while before it finds that strong support. And that's why I have my support line down here. And then it can break above the trend line. But currently, I mean, it's clear that lower highs are being created. I'm not telling you to sell your position. I mean, you have to decide what to do on that. But, and I certainly don't want to make you think I'm talking down on your token, because I'm not. I'm just giving the facts that I've seen over my years of trading, how these things react. So we need to use areas of validation, areas of invalidation, because we want to make the best decision we possibly can. You know, it's our money, right? So what is this, the monthly chart? So here's the daily chart. And let's just look. I mean, what I would do here is just use Engineering Robo as your guide, because it does a very good job of keeping you out of a downtrend. You know, even though it had a couple of buy signals here, you know, they were profitable pretty much. This one probably wasn't. It was more of a break even. Same with this one. But at the very least, you could have gotten in and out quickly. And I believe ABT is on our Engineering Robo list. So, you know, if we look at this on a 2-day structure, I'm just trying to see what Engineering Robo is showing. Yeah, so it's been red all the way down so far, which kind of goes along with our trend line, what we're talking about. But, you know, this thing could hold. I mean, who knows? This thing could just be one of the strongest tokens this cycle. So if it is going to hold, do we come down here to a double bottom on 46 cents, maybe down to the wick or close to it at 40 cents? Do you create a higher low on the bullish above line at 58 cents? Or do you sweep all this and come down to support? You know, any of those are possible. But you still have to get above the cloud here, which it is tightening up right now. I mean, I'm not saying it can't. I'm just telling you what I think is the most logical. Let's see. AB2 will do a 70x minimum. Yeah, I mean, it's already done a 70x, hasn't it, one time? Yeah, sorry, Bean. I'm not trying to scare you at all. I want to give you the facts so that you have them. Is he holding bike hostage? No. I'm not a fan of that guy, of Ben. You know, I used to watch him in 2021. I know who you're talking about, but yeah, at one time he was a pretty big deal, and I looked up to him, but he made some comments and, you know, said some things about the market around 2021 that I thought were odd, so I just kind of stopped watching him. So yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're holding a token, right? It's tough when maybe you bought somewhere in here, like XPRT. That's kind of the situation with me. You know, I made some mistakes on it. I should have sold when I saw it. I forget where it was. I bought somewhere in here, but there was no buy signal. You know, why did I buy? Even here, I probably should have just sold it when it gave me a sell signal. But anyway, I'm still holding it and just hoping that it goes back up. So, you know, I'm hopeful that ABT will pump for you, but the whole reason I'm saying any of this is the pump that it made already. This was back, the peak happened in May. So looking at recency bias, this thing did a roughly 60x. And, you know, these things don't just, you know, pump and then rest a little bit and then have another huge 100x pump unless we're in the blow off top phase. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens with ABT when ETH starts pumping again. I want to see what happens with it. If it just starts, you know, tearing out of here above the trend line, then yeah, it's got another, you know, 50, 100x in it. You know, maybe it could do that. So there are tokens, by the way. I played Gala in 2021 that did a 200x. I think I only caught 100x of it because I was staking it. That's the only reason I held it that long. So, you know, there's definitely a possibility of some of these tokens that can do a total 200x for the cycle, maybe even more. But I don't want to, you know, blow smoke. I'm just letting you know that it has happened before and that, you know, it is possible. We'll just have to see. So after I tore you down, I built you back up. Yeah, final PT for ABT. I just need a 10x. Let's see. Hang on one second. Let me turn this off. Let's see. So this is the same MUBI structure. That looks good. If we put the fibs from here to the original structure, yeah, my TP2 was pretty close to that. So $7 roughly. What would that be? From here, it's about a 9 or 10x. Yeah. So, you know, let's just say this thing does one more push above all-time high. If you just want a 10x out of it, you know, if you're happy with that, let's say that's all it does, then yeah, $7 looks about right. $15 and $30 would be the next targets after that if it was to happen. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. We'll look at MUBI here in a minute. Let me go through the other ones here. Okay, let's see. Oh wait, we may be caught up, huh? Yeah, okay, so let's look at MUBI. The only reason I mentioned MUBI so much is the structure is very clear. It's just really like here you got KTA. We actually caught KTA for a 10x, or somebody in the group did. I'm trying to remember who it was. But at the time, I was showing that person the MUBI structure versus KTA because it was very similar. And you can see 1, 2, 3 here. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, right? But you know, you got your. Here's the reason why it's such a good structure. Long consolidation, a higher low was created here. So remember, we got that trend line was down, lower highs are being created, breakout, higher low, higher high, you know, from this structure back here. And then it started slowly creeping up. This was back in 2023 when Nansen doesn't have all the features that it has now. But this was the first token that I found for a 10x, and I actually made an actual 10x on it, which was nice. So it's one that I tend to kind of go back and show the structure of it often, just because I have a lot of knowledge about it. But same thing here, although, I mean, notice how KTA was a little bit different. The consolidation just kept, it kept continuing. There wasn't really, I mean, there's kind of a higher low, higher high structure here, but it actually swept that before it pumped, and that happens a lot of fake out before a pump. So 1, 2, 3, they look very similar. And actually MUBI did this one. Oh yeah, I never drew the last box. So Kita had a more of a blow off top look right here, whereas MUBI was harder to determine. And I did catch this very top. I sold it somewhere near here because it looked like it was running out of steam, especially right here with a lower high. But MUBI faked out a lot, right? I mean, lower highs were being created, but it was so slow that people probably just slowly bled out and never took their profits. That happens a lot during these cycles. So here's what MUBI is doing now. So it's come all the way back down, which happens sometimes. You get a 1-to-1 move. Oh, wow. It broke below it. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, so I think it's probably going to develop support here. I'd be surprised if it didn't. But that's what you want to watch. What is it? 00036? No, 00035 roughly. Yeah. So that is your support currently. And you want to see higher lows, higher highs starting to be developed before getting into something like this. And if we looked at MUBI, the thing about MUBI, it was kind of, I don't know, there was a lot of excitement around it because you could stake, and I actually made some rewards off of it, but you could stake it and not have a long lock period and, you know, get some really nice tokens out of it. I can't remember the tokens back then, but it does look like we've got some activity here. They're not smart money wallets that are buying, but it is, you know, fresh wallets, I believe. Yeah, fresh wallets about 50K worth. Not a huge volume increase, but, you know, there is some action there. And not a lot of conviction. That's the other thing I want to see on these tokens is if I'm going to buy something, I mean, yeah, this is a token millionaire, but if I'm going to buy something, I want to see a token millionaire buying, you know, 5 figures worth at least, you know, 10K or something. So it looks like they're just taking a little nibble here. You know, 5K is what they bought. And they're hoping that that's the bottom, but we'll have to see. I would say just wait on this one if you're watching MUBI and you want to see something like this, just like we've been talking about on these other ones. You want to see it create a higher high and then see a low that develops above this previous low. So a higher low in that case. Okay. So Leon said, T mentioned to offload it when possible, still the case. Well, I mean, I'm not going against what she says, but I don't know in what context she was saying that either. Yeah, maybe she was saying it way back here. But at this point, I mean, you could be at your support level. So the other reason she may have said that is because it's just boring. I mean, you know, maybe there's a better place to put your money, but it all depends on where you bought it too, right? If you bought it way up here and now you're a bag holder, I don't know. I mean, it would feel kind of bad to take a very small profit out. You know, maybe just see what happens with it because it could start building a higher low. Now, if you lost the support level, sure. You know, if you started seeing candlesticks that were starting to close under support, then yeah, I mean, it may be worth just getting rid of it because it could just be a done project and never come back. Here, let me put some of the chat on the screen. I know people watching the video can't see it. Let's see. I saw you mention Moonwell and smart money involved the other day. You still hold? I do still hold Moonwell, yeah. And we can look at that. Where are we at? I've got a bunch of these. This is it. No, it's wrapped quill. Well, where is that at? Here we go. Okay, so fibs are already up on the screen here, which I think they're reversed as well, and I didn't mean to do that. Oh yeah, that's because I was looking at the targets for it. So we've hit the, what is this? Maybe I did have it right. No, that was right. Okay. Let me just redo them real quick because I kind of want to do something different anyway. So roughly, this is what our fibs look like on this one. It could come down to like 0.23 cents, which would be under the buy signal, but close to it. Well, that's the 2-day chart. I mean, 2-day on RSI is bearish. We're under the 50. Daily looks like it's doing a little triangle thing, maybe trying to get above the 50 again. I mean, this is a very important support, obviously, because this was resistance at one point right here before this breakout. So whenever resistance is broken, and you got a breakout, and then it turns into support, then you need to see that support level hold. Because if it doesn't, then definitely your next stop would be right around 0.23. So currently 0.26 is it. And I just bought some, like Bean was saying, I just bought some the other day. So, yeah, I'm fine with holding it. I'm hoping this holds, but clearly it's the sell signal. I was just hoping that this support holds. That's why I was buying at that level. I don't always wait for a buy signal to buy. Although, if you want to be safe, that's the best way to do it. Trade like a robot, buy and sell signals every time, like we've always talked about. All right. Oh, actually on well, here, let me just look at one thing real quick for well. I'm curious what last 7 days looks like on this. Yeah, some high balance wallets have a lot of conviction lately. I like this. Sure, they're not smart money. I mean, you even got a fresh wallet here, but you've got some high balance wallets here. They're sort of profitable. Well, they're kind of just breaking even, but most people are right now. This one bought 30K, 23K, 14K. They're holding, most of them are still holding all of that they've purchased, so that's a good sign. But if we go over here to these holder tabs, this will show us visually, what's going on. And yeah, it's climbing over the last 30 days. What is the last 7? Smart money's down though. Yeah, smart money's pretty flat after sell-off. And top 100, keeps kind of stair-stepping up. They're continuing to accumulate, it seems like. So I think people are just waiting on the market to turn, really, more than anything. Okay, but the smart people are buying, if they see a support level coming, they're buying, expecting another pump. Let me see, where were we at? Okay, yeah. Don said, Bike, what's the main factor you're looking at using Nansen when deciding to catch a potential TIBBIR move? I know SM spiked up, but does it matter how many wallets picked it up? Price being at support. Yeah, I mean, for me, the chart is the most important thing to begin with, but Nansen's right there with it. Smart money is important, but some of your tokens aren't going to have smart money in them until price spikes. Price takes off, and then you find out they have smart money in it, and then it's too late to jump in sometimes. So you want to be in early for sure, and that's why I like the support levels. If I see a pretty strong support level and it's still near that, then I don't care if there's a buy signal or not. I'm probably going to take an entry if I think that the token has promise, in the future. And I'll just let those smart money wallets jump in later and push my bags up. I mean, you don't always, you can be the smart money, right? But in this situation where you're buying at support when things are still consolidating sideways, you have to be patient. That's just the way it is. I mean, you're early, and sometimes being early, there's some pain involved with that, where you have to, you just have to be patient and wait. Whereas smart money, sometimes they buy just before it pumps, but not all of them do. I mean, they do like us sometimes too, and they have to wait. They're just trying to get the best price that they can. I mean, ultimately, the goal in crypto or business or anything is to roll your money over and rotate it as often as you can. But there's just so much risk involved with crypto that it's, the risk side of it, you can lose money too, right? So you just have to be smart about the way you do it. But if we looked at TIBBIR again, let's see if I can find it here. I must have closed it. I'll just show you what you would be looking at. You usually want to look at like a 7-day time period or 24-hour even. You know, if you're really watching it closely, just watch 24-hour. But when you open the chart here on the overview tab, you're going to get a lot of information right away. And I'm going to show you the things that I look at. So immediately you just want to look down here. You know, are you getting some high conviction buys? Yes. 70K, 25K, 20K. It's not smart money. That's fine. At least I don't think it is. You can click the label thing here and click smart money and just see, because they may be buried. Yeah, there's some smart money there, but they bought very little. You know, that thing is sorted by who bought the most. So whoever bought the most, they're going to be at the top there. But you are able to filter it by smart money on this page as well. But if you go to 7-day, and we just look real quick to see, yeah, it's still high balance wallets, but you've got, I mean, these are the two important things to look at. So how much did they buy? You know, is there high conviction over like 10K per buy or 10K total? Are they still holding? Which, yes, every one of these wallets still holds 100% of their tokens. That's the important information. You've got a bull flag here on TIBBIR. I really don't have any doubt about that. It just depends on where the support level is going to come in at. I made a post on X that I think it's around 10 cents is the strongest support, and that I would be adding, you know, I would be buying some there if it made it that far, because I think that's the place that it would hold. But there's other support levels like here at 15. I think there's one around 12 cents or something based on fibs. But here's your other information that's important. Last 7 days, you want to see fresh wallets buying. So you've got 600K fresh wallets. That's good. Nansen's going to give you a percent activity level. You know, so activity is 26% above the average. So 1.26x is what, I mean, you'd like to see that be more, but it will be more when it's time for it to pump. You know, it'll say like 5x or something like that. Whales aren't really all that involved in it currently. Last 7 days, public figures. Smart money has actually sold some over the last 7 days, but that's fine. You know, that's what happens. Smart money tends to be the one that buys at the right time and sells at the right time. So if you saw something like this, it may help you to sell as well. You know, maybe you'd be up here at this red candle, and you can turn on this candle inspector and click on this red candle, and you can see who was selling at that point. I got to click this sold thing when it pops up. So you can see who was selling here, and that may give you an indication of wallets that you want to follow, because they might help you get out. You know, there's a smart money wallet right there. They sold 44K. They still hold 37%. So they see, you know, they see the value in this token, and they want to hold some for longer, but they made a pretty good profit as well. But then if we go to the holders, you know, just to kind of finish this whole thought so that y'all understand my thought process, you know, you start with the top 100 addresses, clear accumulation all the way up. It slowed down just a little bit here, but my guess is it's going to pick up again once the market starts going. You know, once TIBBIR finds its level. We talked about this briefly. If you ever see the supply owned percentage for smart money, especially while price is still sitting down here not doing much, if you see a big spike out of this, which this was 100% or a 2x move for supply. So basically, smart money, all smart money wallets that you see below here, at that time, they owned 5.84% of the total supply of this token. And then it jumped up within just a matter of, you know, a couple of weeks to 10.49%. So that told you that there was a ton of conviction. There was multiple smart money wallets that were buying, and price was still down here doing nothing. But it's tough to find these tokens because you don't, you know, if people aren't talking about them, sometimes you're not going to get this move. You know, you're not going to get this good of a price. But notice how higher lows were developed, like we've been talking about, higher low, all the way up until you started developing lower, you know, lower highs, lower lows here. But yeah, I mean, you want to buy it as cheap as you can, even though you would have had to wait for like 5 months or something for your payoff, or maybe more than that. So hopefully that makes sense for you. That's kind of my complete thought process. And you could, you know, look at public figures, you can look at whales and find the same information. I mean, if you saw a whale doing the same thing, like back here, same time, January 10th, you know, they were buying and buying and buying, and their supply owned ended up like 11.5%. I wonder what the public figure did. So they didn't own any supply. There was no public figures in it back here in January. And then all of a sudden it jumped up to 1.5%. So that's a massive move as well, from no public figures to, multiple public figures. So just understand, I mean, here's Bob Lucas's wallet right here. This is really interesting. I don't talk about this much, but that was one of the ways that I found MUBI in 2023 is a public figure, even though Nansen didn't make it very easy to find their wallets back then. They didn't label them like this. I was able to find his wallet by doing some digging. So now it's very easy for you. And if you see something like this, these people have Twitter accounts, right? They have YouTubes, whatever. So, that means they're putting the name of this token out there. So, the public figure tab can be very nice as well. All right, let's see what else we got here. And I'm gonna try to go a little bit quicker here. I know how many minutes? Okay, so we're at about an hour. I'll go for about 30 minutes more if y'all want, but I want to keep it not too long for you. So Leon's talking about ORAI. We can look at that. Hey, welcome Gospod. What is it, Gospod in Andreev? Sorry, I probably said your name completely wrong, but I'm just an American. I'm doing my best here. And if any of you want to talk on chat, on voice chat, feel free to, talk at any time. I've got the recording going to where, people can hear your question if you want to do it that way as well. What we're looking at, ORAI. Yeah, so ORAI is one of our long-term plays as well. Well, I don't think we've talked about this one in a long time, but we'll look at it. And for those that join late, I will try to timestamp everything so that you can jump around more easily and find the things that you want to watch. Let's look at the 2-day on this one. I just want to see what the RSI is doing first. Yeah, I mean, the RSI looks fairly bullish on it. So, maybe that's a support level. Look how it's creating higher lows here. That's a good sign. What is the monthly? Yeah, these, so I've talked about it before, but look how this thing makes a W structure. And then right after that, it makes an M structure. This is very typical. So, the correction here may be done for ORAI. It wouldn't surprise me to see it come down to support one more time, but there's a chance that it's done. Let's see, that's the monthly 2-day. Yeah, it's tough on this one just because the 2-day keeps hugging that 14-day EMA. It would be better if you saw something like this where there was a strong breakout and it gave you a clearer signal, but unfortunately that's not the case here. But if we go back to holders just to see what's going on, Nansen is really a good barometer to tell what's happening, to see what price action could do in the near term. Yeah, clear accumulation by the top 100 wallet. These are people that have already bought and they're continuing to accumulate. Smart money, you've got one fund holding 50K worth. And this is a good fund. I've looked at their profitability in the past. I don't know what it is now, but this is a high net worth wallet, almost 3 million. They move things around to different wallets often, so the P&L on that one I'm not too worried about. Public figures, nobody is in it currently. And then whales, you've got a couple high conviction wallets that are holding a lot of tokens still. Yeah, so I mean, things look fine on ORAI for now. I mean, it's just waiting on its turn to move. And then what was the other one? AGRS. And then you ask a question about well depending on interest rate. Isn't well depending on interest rate narratives? I wouldn't really, I mean, normally all crypto tends to go up together. So I wouldn't worry too much about, narratives and stuff like that. Really what we're waiting on is for Bitcoin dominance to go down some more. And right now it's just kind of, consolidating at a small support level that will probably break down at some point soon. Hopefully by the start of September sometime. Let's see, AGRS. Yeah, so I really don't pay attention to news or anything because all that really matters is if all the other alts are pumping. If the other ones are pumping, yours is probably going to pump as well. Okay, so we have a sell signal on AGRS currently. There is a higher low. Well, it did create a higher low and a higher high off of this, which we want to see. But I know this isn't perfect, but really I mean, maybe this is a bull flag or just like, yeah, I mean, it could be a bull flag. Yeah. Right there. So I don't like that it's creating lower lows every once in a while like this. This is a higher low from this one though. So, it may be gaining momentum now to try to break out of this bull flag. So yeah, I mean, it looks okay. It's not bad. I would just wait on the buy signal for this one just to be safe. I think maybe that's the best option right now, but it did break out of the support. So, it has a chance to do something now when it's time for the alts to go up. That's one thing you'll notice if you're new to crypto at all, even if this is your first cycle, a lot of these charts look the same over time. They all tend to move together. So, it's just all based on liquidity. We need to see that global liquidity continue up, and then sometimes it pauses, and then you finally, start moving up again. But the global liquidity, by the way, looks really good for us to continue, just so you know. But here's the reason AGRS had to have this consolidation, just like we were talking about with ABT. You have this massive move, which was roughly, I mean, out of the breakout, it was, 40x or so. So now you got this sideways consolidation, and it could be ending here. Maybe it's ending, but I would draw you a trend line. Yeah, I mean, that trend line looks okay. Okay, so it's very possible that it's establishing support here and could be ready to start moving up pretty soon. But it doesn't matter what token you're watching, as long as it hasn't had just a massive move recently, over the last month or so, you're probably going to see it move up with all the other alts. So just be looking out for that. Be happy about that. I think it'll work out. And then oh yeah, we already looked at the chart here on AGRS. Holders. I know this takes longer to show the holders and everything, but I think it's going to give you a more complete picture on what your token's doing, and I want to be able to provide that for you, even though it takes a little bit longer. Yeah, so 7-day view on this. Even with the dip, people are continuing to accumulate here, so I think that's a good sign. That's on the top 100. No smart money in it right now, not surprising. Some of these don't have smart money. No public figures. And then the whales, we've got one with high conviction. It's a token millionaire. They hold 25K worth. And they have 2.5 million wallet, and they've made 200K over the last 90 days, which is very good. They've almost got a 50% win rate, so that's a good sign as well. All right, Beam with Beams wants to look at DOGG. And let's just go ahead and end with these. Maybe, well, no, we got some more time. I mean, if y'all got more, it's fine. But I don't want to hold y'all here too long. If you don't, you maybe have some things to do. Do I not have a save chart for DOGG? That would be surprising. Oh, there it is. We'll look at the chart first and just see what our support level looks like. I don't remember, this box that I drew must have been an area that I thought support might hold, but it ended up actually being a resistance level after things came back down. So you lost this current support line that we were talking about before. Your RSI is tightening up, so I think it's looking better, for a move back up soon. This is your strongest support. This bullish above line is a very strong support level too. So if it comes down here to this bullish line at 002, I think this is a good place to accumulate. I don't know that it'll make it down that far. It's fairly close already, but maybe it will, maybe it won't. But yeah, not looking bad at all. Just sideways consolidation for the most part. You can see the 2-day, the blue line, the 14 EMA is causing it to reject every time. But once this starts breaking back up, then you're ready to move. What I would watch for, I think a good accumulation strategy would be if this comes back down to the 30 line, it might be time to buy some. If it makes it down there, I don't know if it will. And then if, I don't think we can look at DOGG on Nansen still. But I think maybe it may be a chain issue. Maybe they don't have the chain. Yeah, I don't remember what it is, but it's not on here. I can't see that one. Let's see. Is this indicator redraw? If not, it seems. If not, it seems very. Yeah, it's not engineering robo. And if you want to try it for yourself, just go to the. If you want to test out some things yourself, just go up here to the video content button, and go to this right here. It has a 7-day free trial right here. Just click on that, try it out. But to answer your question, it doesn't redraw ever. That's one of the things I like about it. It is very accurate, yes. Sometimes it's going to be, well, that's the 2-day chart. The daily I like the most. But yeah, I mean, this was a pretty good, it's not going to get the exact top on the sell, although you can turn on the AI take profit signal and sometimes get a better exit. Just see what it shows here, or if it shows it at all. Yeah, there it is. So see back here, it gave you an AI take profit right at the top of these two peaks. There's not a whole lot of history on this one, so but this is what I meant. If you don't own Engineering Robo yet and want to test it out, try out some of these other deals here. You don't have to buy it. Just test it for 7 days and see if you like it, and then when you get the money to buy it, I would prefer, or not prefer, but I would suggest getting the AI version. It has the most features, but there is one that only costs $99 a month called Premium or something like that. Yeah, it looks a little bit different, but it has 2 buy signals to equal 1 buy signal for this one, and same thing for sell signals. There's not as many features, but it is just as accurate as this one. So if you wanted to, pay less after the 7-day free trial, that's what you'd do. An AERO. But yes, very good question. I mean, that is the downfall of many of these scripts on TradingView, is that a lot of them redraw, they repaint the signal. We have a channel, I don't know if you're aware of it, but we have a channel here called Engineering Robo AI Alerts that we have many of these tokens set up to alert us when they buy and sell signals. So they're very accurate as well. Well, I mean, they are accurate because they come straight from Engineering Robo. All right, Aerodrome. Yeah, we had that huge move out of AERO, and it's no surprise at all that it's having a pullback. Well, I mean, I call it a huge move. Compared to the rest of the market, this thing made a really nice move. 3x or so up to the T. I mean, I had that TP2 line set before all of this happened. So just know that if you go on the long-term plays, and some of these charts may be dated where I need to fix something on them. I hope they're not. But if you go over here to long-term plays, you look for AERO. I think it's on here anyway. Should be. Maybe it's not on here. Maybe I need to add it. But anyway, once I have it on here, if it's not, maybe I'm just missing it. But once I have it on here and you click chart, these levels should be set for you to where, and if they're not, just let me know and I'll fix it. So sometimes it front runs it just a bit. You can see that wick didn't quite hit it, but you would want to be watching really closely at a TP2 or any take profit level like that. And then if we brought up the AI take profit signal on Engineering Robo daily, it may have given us one. Let's just see what it says. Yeah, there it is right there. So there's no sell signal yet, but your AI take profit told you pretty close to the top anyway, that it looks like it's correcting some. I mean, it could hold here at 120, but if it loses 120, then your next level would be somewhere around 108 or so, 110. So that'll give you a target to maybe accumulate more. Now, we know that it can do the one-to-one move sometimes where it comes all the way back down. So it also wouldn't surprise me to see it come down to 90 cents. Sometimes that does happen. But once the alts start moving again, this one probably will as well. What else did I want to show you? Yes, we talked about that. Oh yeah, the 2-day. I wanted to show the RSI on the 2-day. Yeah, not a lot to write home about here. I mean, it's kind of choppy. It did come under the 14 EMA right there, so that's kind of a sell signal in its own right. But it's above the 50 RSI, so it's still macro bullish. Yeah. And then if we look at, if we go over here to Nansen, We'll just see what it shows us here. We've still got some high conviction buys that are happening. You know, some people are probably seeing that this is a support area. So some huge buys here of 200K. Fresh wallets have bought 38 million over the last 24 hours. Whales have bought 30K. Smart money has sold some. So let's just look at some of these cards here. Yeah, top 100 continues to accumulate. I don't really like to use the dumb money terminology because I don't want to call anybody dumb. I mean, you know, trading crypto is very difficult. You know, only the insiders know exactly what's going to happen on a token, or the market makers. So, yeah, I mean, there's smart money, but the opposite side of that is retail. And sometimes retail is buying when they should be selling. So on this top 100 chart, just like we were talking about before, this gray line is price. The yellow line is tokens that are leaving the exchange going to people's wallets. If you get a cross down where price crosses below, then sometimes that could indicate a sell signal, you know, because you're losing price momentum, even though retail is buying. And this isn't all retail. There's some whale wallets that are included in this, but it's the top 100 holders. And some of these top 100 holders, by the way, are like the multi-sig wallet for AERO, like the market maker wallet. So it's even some Coinbase holdings. So, you know, some of the exchanges are included in some of this. So it's not completely, you can actually filter that out. Maybe you just want to choose smart money, public figures, you know, maybe some other stuff in here. And then it'll give you a more accurate representation of true holders. But anyway, hope that makes sense. But here's your true smart money view over the last 30 days. And they're mostly holding steady. I mean, they're not really selling that much. Public figures did sell quite a bit here. You know, it's kind of choppy as things were going up. Somebody was selling, and then they bought, and then they sold. And then whales, what are they doing? I think they're buying. Yeah, so whales are buying currently. So hopefully y'all can see how this all comes together and really creates a nice picture for you. Let's see. Yeah, we covered that. Okay. Oh, you just added more DOGG at 24 or 0024. Nice. Let's see. Thanks for detailed explanation. I noticed on the AI Robo channel, alerts arrive only once at 3 a.m. my time. And also alerts are most of the time for small projects, mainly not including some big altcoins, for example. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Also, we do have some larger projects on there. Like if you look at long-term right here, these are some of the ones that are on it, but you know, some people requested tokens as well. So you're going to get some low cap coins on there also, but you got like, what are some bigger ones? GRTs on there, Render. I mean, IONET's not huge, but it's a mid cap anyway. XRP's on there. Let's see, Jupiter, Osmo. Yeah, so there's Beam. So yeah, there's quite a few that are, yeah, there's Ton also. There's quite a few that are on there, but if we're missing one, you know, if there's any that aren't on there that you want to be on there, just let me know and I'll add it for you. I don't mind doing that. Let's see what, oh yeah, and you said that the alerts arrive at 3 a.m. your time. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't control that just because the alerts show up when the crypto market closes for the day. Even though the crypto market never closes, it's using the same timing as the, like say the New York Stock Exchange. Well, no, I take that back. It's not. It's using the same timing. Actually, I don't know what timing it does use, but I can tell you that it's around 7 p.m. my time here in the US. So, you know, it's going to be different for everybody. But the good thing about these signals is you don't have to act on them immediately sometimes. Generally, you've got a day or two to react to any of those signals, whether it's a buy or a sell. And sometimes if it's a buy and you get a huge move, I just want to make a point of this really quickly. Like say on Tau right here. Is that a good example? Well, this is kind of a good example here. Well, no, it's not. I'm trying to find you one that, sorry, I don't really have anything prepared for that. Okay, here's a pretty good example with AERO. So see how it gave a buy signal right here? If you would have waited a few days, you could have gotten a better price. I mean, it gave another sell signal here. You couldn't have predicted that, but it gave you another buy right there. Well, that's the 2-day. Shouldn't be looking at the 2-day. Let me show it on this one. I think it would probably have given a sell signal up here anyway. But sometimes, my point was going to be, sometimes you get a massive green candle, like something like this, and then it needs time to consolidate first. So it's even okay after a buy signal to maybe buy just a little bit, buy maybe half of what you want, and then see if over the next 5 days it comes down and gives you a better price. But, sometimes things just keep going, right? I mean, sometimes you get a buy signal like this big candle, it corrects a little bit, and then it just keeps going. Or this is probably a better example. This one just kept going. There was really not much opportunity unless you caught this quick pullback to add to your position. But yeah, you at least want to make sure that it's close to a support level. Maybe another support level has been put in already. It would give you more confidence that the trade was going to be a good one. Okay. Hey, Tatiana. So Tatiana, T Insight is in, she's 2 hours behind me. And I wish I could start these later for you, but I have to try to respect y'all's time zone and try to do these as early as possible for me. But sometimes she'll show up at the very end of these because she's 2 hours behind us. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys. What time is it? I mean, we've got 15 more minutes if y'all want to talk about anything else, but I think we've covered everything so far. But I do like that we got into, charts versus Nansen, showing the accumulation of different groups like smart money, like we were shown on here, smart money, whales, public figures, especially top 100 addresses. So when I was talking about smart money versus retail, you are seeing some retail activity here. A lot of these wallets are probably going to have some retail mixed in here. And so these people aren't going to sell the top. You can see right here, they're still accumulating as AERO is dipping a little bit. But then you got something like smart money where they're going to make better decisions usually. I mean, I've seen some smart money wallets that they don't sell for profits at all very well, but they buy, very cheaply. So it kind of offsets. But, sometimes when you see this yellow line, the total amount of tokens being taken either, well, in this case, it'd be taken off of smart money wallets and sent to the exchange to be sold. If you see it crossing below the price, sometimes that can indicate that a top, or at least a temporary top, is in, and it could be a good sell signal for you. That's if you use Nansen. If you were using Engineering Robo, then you just wait on your sell signal and you're good to go. But you're not going to get the exact top on any of this stuff. You can see here with Engineering Robo, sometimes your buy signal is here, your sell signal, you just break even. But eventually, you're going to get a move like this. And then you sell right there and you make a pretty good profit. Or you use the AI take profit signal, and sometimes it can get you out of the very top. So just try out Engineering Robo if you want to for 7 days. It's free. And see if you like how it reacts to whatever token you're looking at. Okay, let me see what Bean is saying here. Hey Riggs, welcome. You're kind of coming in on the end of this thing, but I did record it, and I think it's definitely worth your time to watch it all the way through, because I am going to timestamp it as well, by the way. But it will be worth your time to watch it all the way through, because we talk about some things that can help y'all accumulate tokens before they make a big move. Yeah, so Bean's saying he's scared to mention his tokens to me now. I kind of went hard on ABT with him, explaining to him that it looks to me like it could have a little bit more correction. So yeah, we'll see. It's bearish right now at the very least, but we'll see. I want it to do well for you. Just trying to keep it real, so to speak. Hopefully it just comes down to this support, or maybe this bullish line right here, and then breaks out of that trend line. But y'all will see this one on the recording once I upload it here in a little bit. He's going to FUD ABT on X after that. Nah. I mean, I ain't going to do that to you. I know that, what's his name? Who was it? Maybe it was Grizzly. I thought it was somebody else, but I think Grizzly. I've been talking about TIBBIR. You know, TIBBIR, before it had a sell signal, I was talking about it on Twitter, and I said it looks like a top is coming in, or at least a temporary top. And it was either him or T-Bone or somebody who said don't FUD their bags. So just understand that I would never FUD your bags intentionally. I mean, there's some people that are new to this cycle, and the thing that you have to know is that the price is going to happen regardless of what I do, regardless of what I say. Whatever the price is going to do, it's going to do. No amount of FUD. I know it seems like FUD causes it, but the FUD generally, when you see it on news, you know, news on X or whatever, it's generally designed to be a scapegoat for why price did a certain thing, you know, for a price going down. So, you know, it's all going to be baked in by the algo or the market makers or the insiders. You know, we have no control over those things. So don't worry about it if somebody is FUDing your bags. You know, it's going to pump if it's going to pump. That's what I would say. You tell Luke not to watch it. Yeah, man, it is tough when it's your first year or your first cycle. Tatiana and I were talking about that just yesterday. Yeah, Tatiana saying, I'm going to say that because I'm about to FUD your bag. I'm preparing you for it. But yeah, I mean, first cycle is very stressful, especially if you are leverage trading, which I don't recommend. I did leverage trading in 2021 and many sleepless nights. It's not fun. And that's why I stopped doing it. Nah, I ain't plotting against you, man. But I know you're joking. Yeah, he was comparing me to Ben, said I'm Ben's friend. Me and Ben get together and we plot against you. I've got a meeting with him later today. I think he still uses a cardboard table for his computer. Yeah, thanks, man. I'm glad you liked it. You know, I'm glad it came together like this as well. No, I'm just playing around. In 2021, he said something about he was using a cardboard table for a computer, so it was just something I thought of. He said it in one of his videos. It was just something that stuck in my head. But yeah, I'm glad you liked all that. I liked it too. I mean, it's good for me to go through it just to kind of remember some of the things that I used to do that made me money. You know, I always want to do that thing for y'all as well, and Tatiana and Rod do as well. We want to help you to continue to learn how we do things. You know, you're taking advantage of the many years that we've spent doing this, you know, our experience. But, you know, experience is a good teacher as well, right? I mean, it's just sometimes we're so stubborn that we have to go through the hard times ourselves just to understand. So, you know, if y'all can really take this to heart to what we're saying, you know, the things that we either teach or, you know, the encouraging words about the upcoming pump, you know, it would save you a lot of stress. And I'm not just talking to Bean, of course. I'm talking to everybody. Okay, well, let's wrap it up, guys. We'll do another one next week. I've got a birthday party and some other stuff this weekend. Otherwise, we do one on the weekend for the people that are like the 5 p.m. time slot around the world, you know, for my 5 p.m. time slot. But we'll try to do one for y'all soon as well. And appreciate y'all joining as always. Oh, you had your mic unmuted. I couldn't even hear you. But I appreciate y'all joining, and because y'all make this fun. I mean, y'all are the ones that kind of, you know, and we definitely, I want to make a mention that we do appreciate y'all very much. Maybe we don't say it enough, but you know, y'all are the group. You know, y'all make what this is a family. And I like that we're a real tight-knit group like this. It's a lot of fun for us. No, you're fine, man. I didn't even hear you. Yeah, appreciate you being. Okay, y'all have a good rest of your week, and we'll do it again next week. Take care.